Good morning, still 27th of August 2017, roughly 10 o'clock in the morning. I was going to do this later, but hey, I'm having a cup of tea, so I thought I'd do it now and upload it later if I can get Windows Movie Maker to work. This is going to be called Burning Ash and Cooking Bodies. Now the first thing is, I am not condoning cannibalism. We've all heard of the stories seen on the web. People put adverts on these sites, get some willing volunteer to come to be murdered and butchered and eaten. It's not that sort of story. So we've got a story. First thing is, what made me laugh while thinking about this is, in England we used to have a children's TV series called Jack and Nori. These were like week programmes where somebody famous sat down and read a book. Maybe talk famous people. Even Prince Charles appeared on it. And it always, the ones I remember always started with, "Now children, are we sit comfortably? Well then we will start. Then we will start." I wonder how many people in England still remember Jack and Nori. It used to be brilliant. Heard Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. The first Paddington. That's when I first heard about Paddington. Paddington Bear. Etc. But that isn't the story. Right, you've heard me talk about the Manton Pit and how they had this spoil heap. And it got caught on fire, and it burnt and it burnt and burnt. And of course, the amount of coal waste on it, you know, it's perfect burning fodder. I remember in really cold winters with the hard frost, you could actually see steam where the frost was melting, actually pluming into the air. Now the Manton Pit was supposed to be surrounded by a secure fence. Not all that secure, and you will see. Not all that secure because some kids got onto this heap that was burning underneath, underground. As you can imagine, coal, slack and stuff like that. Pretty hot temperatures. Anyway, these kids got on it. I'm not going to mention the guy's name because I don't know if he's still alive. Yes, he did live. But they got onto this slack heap, if you like, spoil heap, whatever you want to call it. Unfortunately, he stood in the wrong part and he went whoosh, and he went wham straight into it. Burning embers, burning coal. I don't know if his mates pulled him out or if the miners pulled him out, but somebody pulled him out straight away onto the ambulance. Ambulance came out. Now the first thing is, the Health and Safety Board had a field day with this. It cost the coal board an exorbitant amount of money. This guy was basically set up for life because he couldn't work or anything like that due to the injuries. He was set up for life. So they rushed him to the hospital. Now at that time my sister was a nurse. I don't know if I've ever told you this. Joe knows. His sister was a nurse. She loved nursing. She really did. She wanted to work on what we call gynecological, mainly women, maternity and stuff like that. But unfortunately when you're training you have to go through the other departments. She couldn't do anything. The only thing she couldn't deal with was the dead bodies when somebody died. Laying them out, cleaning them up, stuff like that. And basically because of that she had to basically jack the job in. It's a shame, but she just couldn't deal with it. She got too emotionally involved and upset. But my sister was nursing at this time. So we must be talking... Well, I was at junior school and she was a school caretaker again, so that would be about 10, 11, so that's 40, 45 years ago. This probably happened when I was a baby, if not before. Probably when I was a baby. So of course they brought this kid in. And from what my sister says, the doctors took one look and went, oh. I don't think they expected him to live. Because these sort of burns, I mean, we're talking third degree burns all over the majority of his body. Yeah, you stop the surface burning, but unfortunately the fat underneath that you're made of can still be cooking. So they didn't really expect him to live. Couldn't put him on the main wards, obviously, so they had to put him in a private room in one of the side wards. As I understood it from the way she explained it, the door faced onto the corridor. Well, the corridor, all the windows had to be opened to try to get rid of some of the smell of the burning flesh. Due to it, the smell, if you like, the stench, the nurses were only allowed to stay in the room 15 minutes at a time. So there were, I think she said there were like 4 nurses. So you did, let's say if my sister was on from the 0:00 to 1/4 then she'd have 3/4 an hour off, then go back on 0:00 to 1/4, and that was 24 hours, 7 days a week until he was out of danger. I mean, thinking about it, trying to get IV lines in and stuff like that, and I mean, the kid must have been pumped full of morphine and those type of drugs, just pain. And to be honest, with that sort of pain, they probably wouldn't have done much good. So yeah, my sister said that. But what she said was, says the ironic part is, that wasn't the only burn victim we had in that week. Turns out an old lady had collapsed at home. As she'd gone down, her arm had gone into the fire. Open fire, coal fire at that time. So obviously she was practically burnt from the shoulder downwards and part of her side because of night dress or dress had caught flames. So they didn't just have one major burn victim to deal with. They had a second one as well. She says there were 8 nurses tending to these 2 people 24/7. So yes, there could be dangerous places, pit tops. The area now is wooded, so I would presume the fire's out. Basically because it's not getting fed anymore. Why? By slinging some more debris on it. But yeah, the guy, I mean, I don't know how they went about simple things like skin grafts and stuff like that, because obviously he'd gone straight down, so I presume majority of his body were burnt. But yes, he was very lucky to survive. You can guess what sort of mess he was in afterwards, but he was lucky to survive. There's other stories afterwards which I'm not going to go in, which are a bit embarrassing from what I've been told, but he was lucky to have survived such a horrendous accident. Like I says, health and safety, I had a field day with the British Coal Board. I think through that major regulations were set in place for all the pits about what type of fencing they could have. I think they went from just main chain link fencing, which could be easily be broken, to actually metal poles, security fencing with the sharp things on top. And probably razor wire as well to stop people from climbing over. But yeah, All because I was talking about the pit and stuff like that, I thought, because I know this story, and of course my sister was involved in it, with her being nursing and having to nurse these two people. I mean, the old lady wasn't anything to do with the pit talk, but she was actually involved in nursing. I think from what they said, she said they did like one slot there with this kid, and then another slot with this woman. So because it weren't as bad, then they swapped back over. So it was sort of 2 hours before you returned to your original patient. But yes, burning ashes and cooking bodies. And no, I'm not going to join one of them sites that are looking for a cannibal. Bye for now.